Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to Valorant News. Sentinels new team in action on LAN for the first time so far this season in a match against TSM and also against the Guards, as we shall see here in a second. Lots of reaction to that, especially with TenZ's performance, but also Zombs with a bit of drama and beef against Stewie2k over the last 24 hours. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Loads of new subs yesterday. We've been absolutely killing it lately. Quick note from Danny, because we saw yesterday formerly of Sentinels, where would he go? Rumour has it he's joining G2. We can see here Danny, Immy, ShahZaM all spotted on this G2 page. So very likely it seems right now that Danny is kind of joining ShahZaM and dapr as former Sentinels members joining the G2 situation. Especially interesting, of course, in light of the ShahZaM versus Sentinels drama from the other day. Now this was a big piece of news yesterday that turned out not to be coming to fruition. But Rossi wakes up and says, Stewie not playing LCQ, didn't even qualify, and he stubbed his toe. Good morning. So, Stu not playing LCQ, very interesting, because it must be said, I saw this tweet the other day when their team, the Nation, failed to qualify just about for, they failed to make it through right to the challenger size. They were still having a chance, though, at the last chance qualifier. There are 2 more spots still up for grabs, but as Stewie says, had a lot of fun competing. Our team is eliminated, heads held high. Now, I must say, this comment did make me think, is he actually going to play again? Just because in the second, would he tweet this if he was indeed intending to play again in the second qualifier, which is still upcoming, and he is intended to compete there, we'll see in a second. But yeah, like if he was planning to compete in it, he might have said in this tweet, oh, okay, we go again in a couple of days time. He didn't. He said, a lot of fun competing and now back to content or something, right? Or maybe even back to CS, because apparently he's got offers in both Valorant and CS. Now he then comes out and confirms later in the day, there was even some clips of him on stream kind of contemplating this, but he reckons now he was just trolling around. I'll be playing in the LCQ with the Nation, calm down, tapped into RVAL for the first time, judging by the amount of Skip Bayless critics out there throwing stupidity in the comments. Let me remind you guys, I committed with Brax to create a team, not knowing anything about the Val scene, to at least make an attempt for Ascension, so calm down, and he is going to play it, basically, is what he's trying to suggest here. So good stuff, because at the end of the day, it would have been a bit of a weird one if the team that just about almost made it, right, the Nation were probably the closest team of anyone to qualifying for it the first time around. They will be arguably the favourites, right, of the next set of teams to try and make it through, and if they play, there's certainly like a greater than 50% chance they make it. So you might as well, you've given all this practice, you might as well just play the last chance qualifier. I mean, for example, Sinatra's team, they didn't even play the first qualifier, they're going to play the second one, so you might as well give it a go, like regardless of what happens at the end of the day. Now also last night, of course, was the Tarek Ludwig Invitational, which has been going on. Honestly, really cool tournament, gave me like Beyond the Summit vibes, right? It's kind of what I thought it was going to be. They're sitting on a couch just chatting about stuff, the matches are going on there, it's all good times. And well, actually one of the first games that was going on was Sentinels versus TSM, a clean 2-0 here for Sentinels. TSM, solid team, tier 2 team though, of course. Sentinels should be the favourites to win this tourney, but we'll see how that ended later in the day in a pretty interesting matches, or set of matches as well. But as a result of this, right, there was lots of talk about TenZ, of course, individually, but also from Zombs. Brazil saved NA Valorant, because, I mean, yeah, of course, they've got Sassy Pancada came into the Sentinels team, they've been looking rather good, and of course, they win that series. And tweets such as this resulted from that. Now, this was some drama here between Zombs and Stewie. So Zombs says Brazil saved NA Valorant. They ain't saving you though. So I'm kind of confused exactly what Stewie means here, because first of all, we know that there's drama between Zombs and Brazil in general. So they ain't saving you though kind of sounds like if you go to Brazil, you're gonna get taken out type thing. Which okay, hopefully there's no truth to that, but nonetheless, that's kind of what it seems like Stewie's suggesting. Or he's saying that you're kind of bad at Valorant, mates. So Brazil, there's no Brazilian players to come and save your team type thing. Don't exactly know what he meant there, but it's still quite the interesting statement here from Stewie, I thought. And then Zom says that bro lost a dark ratio, because of course that was the series they lost in the qualification match for Ascension. And then Stewie comes back with this: bro teamed up with Prod and Bada get carried by Marved and still get eliminated. So this is the thing, right? We know that Zombs was initially part of Stewie's team. That was the plan, that Zombs and Stewie were going to play together on that roster. Zombs then left the team, decided, you know what, I've had enough of this, I ain't competing with these guys, they're terrible, and was just going to go do content and stuff. So Stewie had to find a new team, build out the roster. They almost qualified, in fairness for them, and they might well still qualify, but Stewie's now roasting Zombs, because Zombs is going to play the LCQ anyway. It'd be quite the storyline if somehow Sinatra's team with Zombs and Prod and these guys match up with Stewie's team at some point in the bracket. Hopefully that'll happen, but Zombs is like, hopefully we do get eliminated, because he's just there for the content type thing. And Stewie's like, wait, we actually got beef, why is everything in Valorant drama? And Zombs replies with this and is like, well, you started the beef, beef by tweeting they hadn't saving you though. And then Stewie's like, oh, my fault, the joke flew around, you didn't even know there was drama here, no intent to shame your name, don't take things so personal. And then Zombs is like, all good. So I just wanted to share a follow-up this that Zombs talked about on stream, where he says that actually the Nation team was, you know, he does have probably a bit of leftover beef here, just because the Nation team that was formed, he formed it, right? That's why maybe it's called the Nation, because Zombs Nation, all this type of stuff. Like, and he reckons that Stewie was suggesting that they were just trialing Zombs, whereas the reality is Zombs was there from the start. He was the one that actually built the team in the first place, and then he decided to leave because they got absolutely tucked in scrims.
Yeah, wait, what happened?
Oh no, he just said on his stream, like he said on his stream that he was like trying me out or something. I literally made the team and left because they were horrible.
Whoa.
Wow. Exactly, horrible.
Wait a minute.
We lost 21. We lost like 23-1 in a scrim versus like random people I never heard of.
So you're saying all 4
23 to
players?
1?
Yeah, something like that. It was like either 22 to 2.
Ults at least, no?
Wait, who'd you play with?
When I was on the Nation. Bro, TSM was like a disaster.
He said I made the team and left.
Yeah, that's why it's called the Nation, bro.
Wait, really? I doesn't know.
They said they cut. So wait, he said he cut you?
No, he was like, we needed a controller, so we were like trying out Zombs, and like we each had our differences because he wanted to stream. He's like, the more I played with him, like it seemed like he just like, bro, we scrimmed for 1 day total. What are you talking about?
So you're saying he's a bad player?
I never said that.
Some pretty funny stuff really there between Zombs and Stewie2k. I mean, another classic bit of Valorant beef that kind of came out of nowhere. And as I say, if they can somehow match up against each other at at the qualifier, the last chance qualifier, that would be a great time indeed. Now, first of all, of course, TenZ was completely cooking last night. He's back, says Psycho here, after he goes 32-8 on Pearl up against TSM to win them that series. And as TenZ says, 1 against TSM, 2-0 GG's first LAN match in a while. First showing with the team, feels good to get back playing. And this was the overall series here. So 2-0 versus TSM. Of course, TSM a tier 2 team, but a pretty good, I think, tier 2 team at that. They, of course, got one of those automatic invitational spots. 13-8 on Fracture, and then 13-7 on Pearl, with TenZ going 32-8 for the W. 7 had 3 kills. So, kind of a bit of a difference there between the two entry duelists, I suppose, on the roster. But yeah, TenZ being back in business and maybe getting enabled more by this team is already quite the sign for Sentinels fans. They'll want to see the team being able to win when TenZ isn't going off, which in fairness was the case game 1. And this, I think, is what's a good sign for Sentinels, is that game 1, TenZ had 16 kills on the KO, and it was the Brazilian guy, Sassy Mancada, leading the lobby. And then game 2, TenZ turned up. So this is kind of where Sentinels should be going, where TenZ can take over maps and win you games hands down. But if he doesn't, they've still got a backup plan now, which they kind of didn't have before. However, though, they did go on to play what was, for some reason, a best of 1 in the upper finals up against the Guard. So the Guard also take down T1, and then it was Sentinels versus the Guard, and they lost this best of 1, and Suppose lost about 10k as a result, because I guess he put some bets on this. And these were, if it wants to load, this was Trent, man. And the thing is, right, with Trent, we talked an awful lot about Trent during the off-season, being like, well, why isn't Trent getting picked up by a top-tier franchise team? I couldn't really understand it, why none of the franchise teams were going for Trent. Maybe they just filled their spots, right? But you'd have thought they should have gone for it. And now he is here on the Guard, obviously a tier 2 team in challenges, absolutely killing it again. I mean, he was just on fire this game too on the controller, on the Viper, of course, gets those 2 kills, finds himself in a 1 versus 2 because Tex gets taken down, and this 1v2 is just so nice from Trent. I thought he used the Vandal, right? But look at the spray transfer he gets anyway. The spray transfer is beautiful onto the second. Pancada goes down 15-14, and that was crucial. I mean, Split always delivers for the pro scene, man. It's crazy. Split being back in business, immediately you get a banger game on it. 16-14. Doesn't matter what the first half score is, it's always going to overtime. And yeah, for pro play, Split is always just fantastic. And the few tweaks I think have made the map better, and it doesn't ruin what made Split so good to watch from a professional perspective. As Trent says though, GG's 1-0 versus Sentinels, I am back. So great performance from Trent. I mean, the numbers here in a second are crazy. Even as the Guards say, seems like the wheels didn't work out for you this time, or kind of the strap wheel, and they're going to have to try something new. But there could well be a rematch between the Guard and Sentinels if we see what we might expect to see today. This was that series, so the Guard versus Sentinels here, 16-14 in the end. Trent goes 39 in 19, plus 20 for the win. I mean, like, what can you even say about that? Absolutely ridiculous. TenZ was the top fragger on the Sentinel side as well, again, but yeah, wasn't to be for them. But of course, it's just a best of one, so nothing too much to read into that, I don't think. And yeah, as Psycho says, 0-1 to Trent Esports, what a demon. So quite the statement as well from Psycho, basically saying that they're a one-man team. So we'll see if that translates, if they do get to rematch them again later on today. And even Vanity goes, you know, can't wait to see everyone call Sentinels bad for losing a split best of one. And in fairness, there was some discussion around this. Even babybay says these Sentinel players are looking meh. Perma Killjoy picks into playing retake every round is not the play. So obviously babybay knows something that Sentinels don't about playing Killjoy properly, but you know, nonetheless thought that was kind of funny. So this is the way the bracket looks as it stands then after all those matches of last night. T1 already out of the tournament. They got kind of destroyed, but well, they lost to the Guard 2-1. This is pretty close in fairness. Pearl was, if it actually wants to show the overview, 13-11 to T1. Then it was 13-7, 13-7 for the Guard. And then TSM took down T1 pretty easily, to be honest. Fracture was 13-8 and then 13-7 as well. So Munch going to go Sire Player and Co, formerly of the Guard, and now out of the tournament. So it's Sentinels versus TSM, a rematch here in the losers finals. If Sentinels win that one, they'll play the Guard in the grand finals to determine the winners. And that's what I would expect to happen, to be fair, because we saw it happen the first time Sentinels took down TSM. It should happen again. And then we'll get the grand final that ShahZaM predicted between the Guard and Sentinels to see who's going to win. Early days for Sentinels, of course, the Guard have been playing for longer, but I'm excited to see how these two teams could play up against each other in a best of 3 setting rather than just a best of 1. And these were the top performers on day 1 of the event. TenZ with the biggest numbers of 1.51, pretty crazy stuff. Trent, Corey, Nature, Sassy, Yona P, Hayes and GMD rounding out the top 8. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.